Hello and welcome. Let's start with our top story this hour. Yevgeny Prigozhin, the head of private military contractor Wagner, called for an armed rebellion aimed at ousting Russia's defense minister. The country's security services reacted immediately by opening a criminal investigation. Flagging betrayal of the nation, Vladimir Putin said, and I quote, "We are now facing treason." The Russian president pledged inevitable punishment and stated that he would do everything to protect the motherland. Here's a look at the 62-year-old and Wagner's role in the war. Now let's dive into Prigozhin's background. He was convicted of robbery and assault in 1981 and sentenced to 12 years in prison. Following his release, he opened a restaurant business in St. Petersburg in the 1990s. It was in this capacity that he got to know Vladimir Putin, then the city's deputy mayor. Prigozhin used that connection to develop a catering business and won lucrative Russian government contracts that earned him the nickname Putin's chef. He later expanded into other areas, including media and an infamous internet troll factory that led to his indictment in the US for meddling in the 2016 presidential election. Prigozhin recently acknowledged founding, leading, and financing the shadowy Wagner company. Now, Wagner was first seen in action in eastern Ukraine soon after a separatist conflict erupted there in April of 2014, after Russia's annexation of the Crimean Peninsula. While backing the separatist insurgency, Russia denied sending its own weapons and troops there, despite ample evidence to the contrary. Engaging private contractors in the fighting allowed Moscow to maintain a degree of deniability. Prigozhin's company was called Wagner after the nickname of its first commander, Dmitry Utkin, a retired lieutenant colonel of the Russian military special forces. It soon established a reputation for brutality and ruthlessness. Wagner personnel also deployed to Syria, where Russia supported President Bashar al-Assad's government in a civil war. In Libya, they fought alongside forces of Commander Khalifa Haftar. The group has also operated in the Central African Republic and Mali. Prigozhin has reportedly used Wagner's deployment to Syria and African countries to secure lucrative mining contracts. The U.S. Undersecretary of State Victoria Nuland said in January the company was using its access to gold and other resources in Africa to fund operations in Ukraine. Some Russian media alleged Wagner was involved in the 2018 killings of 3 Russian journalists in the Central African Republic who were investigating the group's activities. The slayings remain unsolved. Let's now analyze Wagner's role in Ukraine. Wagner took an increasingly visible role in the war as regular Russian troops suffered heavy attrition and lost territory in setbacks. Prigozhin toured Russian prisons to recruit fighters, promising pardons if they survived a half-year tour of the frontline duty with Wagner. In an interview in May, he said that he had recruited 50,000 convicts, about 10,000 of whom were killed in Bakhmut. A similar number of his own fighters have died there. He said that he had 50,000 men at his disposal in the best times, with about 35,000 on the front lines at all times. He did not say whether these numbers included convicts. In December, Washington accused North Korea of supplying weapons, including rockets and missiles, to the Russian company in violation of the UN Security Council resolutions. Both Wagner and North Korea denied the reports. Prigozhin has previously bashed Russia's military leadership for failures in the war in Ukraine and is known for his long-running feud with the defense ministry. He claimed full credit for capturing the Donetsk region's salt mining town of Soledar in Ukraine and accused the Russian Defense Ministry of trying to steal Wagner's glory. He has repeatedly complained the Russian military failed to supply Wagner with sufficient ammunition to capture Bakhmut and threatened to pull out his men. Prigozhin also has singled out Shoigu for withering criticism while accusing the Russian military leaders of incompetence. His frequent complaints are unprecedented for Russia's tightly controlled political system, in which only Putin could air such criticism.